Dear learner, today's video we will be deliberating about the Master of Philosophy in Psychiatric Social Work from the prestigious National Institute of Mental Health and Neurosciences. What are the scopes after completion the course? Certain disclaimer before starting this session. First, the presenter, I am the alumni of the NIMHANS. I have completed my Master of Philosophy in Psychiatric Social Work in 2019, and this video is for educational purposes to the learner who are interested to pursue higher studies. Also, the presenter has Master of Social Work before M.Phil degree. So today's topic will be because many of the student who are pursuing or who want to pursue after 12th Bachelor of Social Work, other are interested to pursue after Bachelor of Social Work, Master of Social Work, and after Master, many students are interested to make future like studies they want to do. So for that, they choose medical and psychiatric social work as practice in many institutions. So little introduction, because there is not official institute presentation, it is alumni's presentation, views are personal. So uh, first, going to the institute was constituted, recognized by the act of 2012 by the Parliament of India as an institute of national importance. And there is Department of Psychiatric Social Work, because out of many departments, because this multidisciplinary uh, like format is there for treatment and training also. So the Department of Psychiatric Social Work is one of the big department there, where one can pursue Master of Philosophy in Psychiatric Social Work after completion of Master of Social Work degree with required percentage and qualifying duly national entrance test. So there are two category of admissions. So one will be from the national entrance test, another will be from the external fellowship category. So those candidates who had junior research fellowship of the ICMR, DBT, University Grant Commission. So they also has to appear test in. They have to qualify 50% minimum requirement to eligible to appear for counseling. And as far as 2016 and 18 plan, there were 3 seats reserved for the external fellowship category out of the 21 seats total available. So for latest number of seat, one is advised suggested to visit the institute website and learn more about the courses. So it is like personal experience during the Master of Philosophy course. So when once after the Master of Social Work, duly qualifying the national entrance test or other institute test, uh, gets a seat in the institute, then in the Master of Philosophy of Psychiatric Social Work 2 years course, which is called pre-doctoral degree, because before the Doctor of Philosophy, Ph.D., M.Phil is there, Master of Philosophy. So this is 2 years full-time clinical course, as there is a Mental Health Care Act of 2017 which recognizes psychiatric social worker. So as a mental health professional who has to, after completion of the Master of Philosophy, has to register with the state mental health authority or the central mental health authority under the act. After becoming psychiatric social worker, uh, one is recognized duly by the government, because the institute also has a power to grant degrees, and which are as given in the schedule of the University Grant Commission and other acts they have said. So the degree is duly recognized and a prestigious one. So format of the degree I will go mainly, because the work involves more of the clinical, as I said. So there are postings are there. So like there are 2 years, mean 2 year, 24 month. There will be rotational wise postings out of the 21 batch, suppose. So I was placed like, so posting wise, there are adult psychiatry units. So 6 adult psychiatry units at time prevailed. So each will be headed by the psychiatric consultant who is the professor, senior professor of the psychiatry, and under them there is a multidisciplinary team, say from the Department of Clinical Psychology, Department of Nursing, Department of Psychiatric Social Work. There will be team. So psychiatric social work trainees we are called when we are in Master of Philosophy in Psychiatric Social Work. So we are M.Phil trainee pursuing psychiatric social work. So we trainees are placed under the supervision. So there are other Ph.D. Ph.D. candidates are also there. So they will be designated in the institute as a junior consultant, or they are staff of the institute which are called psychiatric social workers who are selected after uh, completing M.Phil and duly undergoing the interview and selection process. They are the staff of the institute. They are called psychiatric social workers. So one M.Phil trainee psychiatric social worker will be under the junior consultant or psychiatric social worker staff. Above them there will be faculty supervisors. So each unit will be having faculty supervisors, one or two number, depending upon the strength of the work there in the adult psychiatry unit. So the number of faculty vary, also availability of the faculty. So if that is there, so formally the institute are placed students are placed in that unit under the clinical supervision. So they have to learn in the process of undertaking some of the tasks. So task may be, as psychiatric social work in Bachelor of Social Work, Master of Social Work, you might have read many things about psychiatric evaluation. Okay, so there are some certain scales are there. So there is a international classification of disorder of the World Health Organization. So and that also classifications are there. So under the supervision, so some of the cases for the screening can be seen under the supervision of the faculty supervisor. And after screening, as we go further, there will be detailed workups. Detailed workup mean detailed psychiatric evaluation and other evaluation. And after that evaluation has been done, so there will be something called plan will be made. So what is the treatment plan? So because there are Mental Health Care Act of 2017 and Right of Person with Disability Act of 2017. So there are many assignments, many work has to be done under the acts also. Also the direction of the faculty supervisor. So psychiatric social work clinically learns through the rigorous postings, seeing the inpatients care, outpatients care, and cases for the detailed psychiatric social work intervention. So these intervention can be providing the counseling services, providing the as I said, assessment has to be done for economic income wise. Also, there are many welfare scheme of the government of India and the state government and other bodies. So determining that by following the some of the guidelines, one evaluates the person with mental illness or the client system. Okay, they will be evaluating also in many of the facilities concessions are given. So there's many has to make income certificate. They should have valid below poverty line this ration cards under public distribution system or some other requirement to fulfill and avail some of the waivers and other if they are eligible or eligible in the eyes of revenue authority. So many of the capacity building of the parents, caregivers about how to go about applying, what are the offices for applying, what is the procedure for applying, and after applying and getting one after verification, how to avail and facilitating the them. Also under the faculty supervision, doing some of the ideas assessment, say Indian Disability Evaluation and Assessment scale is there. So, doing assessment on domains under the supervision of the faculty, duly approved by the medical board, approves after some time, then issuance of the disability certificates and further coordinating with the district social welfare officer and the social welfare mechanism to uh, so the deserving person can get some of the disability pensions to support their case, free medicines, hospital fee waiver, and other things. So that way, this adult psychiatry unit posting is vibrant, and if one successfully completes this 1 year, like four postings, we can say 3 into 4 in the first year of psychiatric social work. Then in the M.Phil degrees, then the student learner has to, under the supervision of the faculty, has to submit currently 5 psychiatric social work case records. So, after obtaining informed consent under the RPWD Act and following the all institute ethics committee protocols and other, so one can ask the willingness that whether they want to be like person with mental illness or carer, uh, or other neurological disorder also, because this psychiatric intervention, neurological rehabilitation, these fields are coming now. So if they agreed and give the informed consent of participating on the studies, or case as a case study, they allow student to work on the case, so that it is part of curriculum also. It is further plan wise also. Detailed evaluation can be done. It will further help the carer and needy. So that way, if evaluations are there, 5 psychiatric social work course, if one completes, then one has to one has to submit within time that all psychiatric social work case records as a student. Then there are others, like because it's not only clinical, the academic part of also there. So there are micro skills class. So one has to undergo that classes to enhance the learnings, how to work. So there are many cognitive behavior therapies. There are many what's called motivational enhancement treatment for the substance abuses. Many abuses, US SAMHSA's guidelines, everything is there. So our also centers are contributing how to do. So psychiatric help in that, like addictions and community addiction medicines. So these all are part of theories classes also. So curriculum wise, because I will be deliberating on 2016 to 18 batch, for the change of the papers adjustment, one is advised to consult the respective department, and as well as the latest syllabus they are following. So because there are part one and part two called. Part one mean first year of the Master of Philosophy in Psychiatric Social Work. So in that paper wise, it is distributed. I will be focusing on my 2016 batch to 18 batch studies. So first paper was the Psychiatric Social Work, in which we have studied that field of psychiatric social work. What are the field? What is the historical development? Okay, what is the then theoretical model of psychiatric social work? Then it comes like principle of practice of group treatment, because there are social work has methods. So one are the primary and secondary method we said. So social case work, group work, community organization, these are the primary, and the secondary called like social action, social welfare, and social research. So these are social action. So these all are part of secondary. So mainly because group treatment we will read in this specific out of paper one topic on the principle of practice of group treatment, because many substance abuses, the cases where the community addiction medicine has to work. So and these all involve the group, and there are certain disorders, severe mental disorders. So in that also the group treatment works. So that way, learning about them, and there is family therapy. Yes, the presenter holds his M.Phil thesis on the topic of family therapy only. So the family therapy morely couple now, because there is domestic violence, protection of women from domestic violence act is there of 2005. So in that also they have covered the like relation in nature of marriage has also been recognized one. So yeah, family therapy is not only about family, it's about then further it goes to couple therapy, and couple therapy also not couple, then they said marital therapy. So all why? Because many of the family, like there are studies on the expressed emotions, how they play the role to relapse. So we have to do relapse prevention. So mainly the work with the family is needed to like stop that reoccurrence, and also modification of environment is needed for that. Psychoeducation is one of the part. So in family therapy, we will be doing like working in the family as a system. So we will be trying to modify some of the environmental by giving the participatory approach. It's not like expert approach. So participatory approach, changing, taking goals. So these all are homework assignment. Many things are given. So it is part of learning because there is family psychiatry center is there, which trains for 3 months also clinically to the psychiatric social work student along with the clinical psychology training. So that all is part of family therapy. Theory wise also we have to study, and also there is a teaching methodology, as you know, the first paper of the UGC NET JRF of social work also has that research and teaching aptitude. So the same research methodology is very important because the research has to be designed, and and these all are under that. Then practice of psychiatric social work in Indian context, and there are some worldwide also. There are certain like specific social work like industrial mental health services. There are law regarding ethics in the psychiatry. So there are certain laws, there are ethics of the field. So that will and because it's revised. So earlier we used to read Mental Health Act of 1987. So it automatically becomes the Mental Health Care Act of 2017. Okay, then. There are acts like transplantation of the Human Organs Act. There are earlier there was Person with Disability, Equal Opportunity and Right of Person Act was there of 1995. So now that is also uh, repealed, and the new act is the Right of Person with Disability Act of 2017. So that is also part of the first paper in the part one we used to study. So as I said that if there are certain changes, like one is advised to go to official. So because this is not official, is alumni's personal experiences. So another paper was with regard to psychological perspective on mental health, which talks about there has to be some learning about the psychology. What is psychology? Then it's come like there are various theories of intelligence, memories, attention, concentration, personality. That all we have to study in this paper. First topic. Another was principle of learning. So there are some conditioning, classical condition. There are social learning theories given by the learned authors who has propounded those theories. So reading about those theories, and also there are like developmental factors. They said like any human development there are certain factors, no, sensory. So like what is the motor development, what is cognitive, so social development, emotional development, values wise also spirituality. So these all are a developmental factor one has to see. And because motivation also works, emotion also works in therapy. So that, with that we have to understand the various theories are there, like Abraham Maslow's theory, stress theory. So others are psychoanalysis. So that is also what is the Freud's Carl Jung's, Adler. So these are thought schools we have to read, and psychotherapy is also CBT, how perform. These all will be covered there. Also, there is psychological method of management like non-directive play therapy. So these all are like one has to in detail, one has to study this. And there is psychodiagnostic, social psychology is also there, so social pathology is there, social genesis of the mental disorder. Also, there are certain recent trend in the psychosocial perspective in mental health research, that also one has to read in this. And the there will be now part third. Okay, because I am following old, so whoever is interested can have look at the latest paper. So 2016 in that. So then there was paper third, which has two like different chapters. It's called like not chapter. It's like part. So first part was with regard to psychiatric social work research. So it was like scientific method of social research in psychiatric social work. Basic element of psychiatric social work we have to read. Design of research, so research methodology type. So sampling technique. So some of the concept of the economics also comes into play in the research, and group research design, how is them. So what are the methods of data collection? Okay, what is the interview schedule guide? One has to read these all, and rating scales also construction. So many of this, because psychiatric social worker in advanced stage, they will be constructing their own scale, or their some learned author has developed their own scale, which are like specific to their condition, like marital quality scales are there. So now IFBCS is there, Indian Family Violence and Control Scales, developed by National AIDS Research Institutes, NARI's Sahai, Dr. Sahai. So Dr. Seema Sahai and other authors has um, developed that. So how it constructed. So these all will be part of that, and research methodology and statistical doctoral work that uh, we have to study in the doctorate degree house. So that was part one of the same paper third. So second part was to start to stats. So statistics, what is the basic, like what is level of measurement, what is descriptive, what is the basic probability theories. These all were part. Then what is correlation, regression analysis, basic principle in testing of the hypothesis, uh, like covariance analysis, ANOVA. These all test, experimental design also, randomized controlled trials, and this all. And there are some parametric stats like sign test, Wilcoxon sign test, when means like man Whitney test, median test, rank correlation. So these are learning about these all tests, and there is a multivariate analysis. So how to what is their application also. So it was part of part one. So in that part, as I said that because it was old syllabus, so one is advised to take. So after psychiatric social work, case record submission, appearing in the exam, so there is a viva hold by that. One knows external evaluator and other internal evaluator. So student will be asked on those all questions, theories, uh, so exam performances. They are learning in the clinical also. Every unit has exit interview also. So when one is completing 3 months of tenure in as a psychiatric social work trainee, so on the basis of the evaluation of the various experts, he will be asked some certain question, what was their experience, what was expectation from the unit, and what they learned, and what is the take home message, and what are the areas of improvement. The student also gets the feedback. So in that way, can we say that totally the clinical skills of the trainee is developed under that environment of mutual learning and other. So but the second part will come to the second year of Master of Philosophy in Psychiatric Social Work. As I said that it is, this video is not about entrance, how to crack and get into. It is more into after getting into Master of Philosophy in Psychiatric Social Work, or if one is interested to get into, what the structure he will get is like, as I said, it's individual perspective. So it has to be taken as the individual experiences, not as any official video of the statement from the institute. So that is there. So part second, after submitting this, writing an exam, so one can enter into the second year Master of Philosophy in Psychiatric Social Work, which is called also the final year. So the structure remains the same. The student will be psychiatric social work training, and PSW, Master of Philosophy in Psychiatric Social Work training. So he will be again designated, but as followed with the me. So, and then after it comes like more of the specialized postings, they say. Specialized postings where there are, because the institute is not only running the adult psychiatry units, it is also learning the specialized unit which has specialized skills, okay, specialized area of intervention which is followed there. So to get an opportunity to work on that. So uh, as you know that NIMHANS has successfully opened these perinatal clinics. Okay, so there are Center for Addiction Medicine is there. So there are family therapy. I said family psychiatry center is there. So to learn family therapy under the supervision, also hold some of the session, following up the case, understanding the family dynamics, making the genograms, and understanding the dynamics of the family and trying to understand by application of the theory. Also discussion with the learned faculty member, and then what is the area of intervention. So these all family psychiatry center. Then there is a neurological rehabilitation, psychiatric uh, rehabilitation services, and there are certain neurosurgery, so neurology. So these all postings are called kind of specialized. So some has 3 months, some has 1 month, and one gets opportunity full as a clinical experience on those units, which is very worthy in completion of that rigorous 2 years of M.Phil in psychiatric social work. So then also, because I said, because it's not only clinical field of study, it's also as theoretical. So and apart, and there are many classes are hold. So earlier format of part two in second final year of the psychiatric social work was one paper in social issues and mental health, because many social issues are very important for mental health. It has bearing. So like concept of social issues, one has to understand context of social issues. Like there are like plurality is there in India, multiculturalism is there. What is the democratic system India is following? So one has to understand what is the educational Indian educational system. So that also now there are many factors which influence like globalization, the practice of psychiatry, also psychiatric social work also, because many of the new term like informed consents are coming to the our legislation which wants us. So understanding these all legislations also. There are like social issues in India. So because any field of practice without understanding the society at large cannot be like effective, and cannot achieve its aim as a profession. So we have to for the masses we have to so some of the social issues in India, we have to understand that there is a social deprivations are there, like inequalities are there, some atrocities are there. So how to ameliorate or get rid of this whole thing. Okay. Also, there are like factors are there. What is called communalism is there. Okay. So how to redress that? And there are corruption prevalent in the society. So how to get rid of that? What are the mechanisms to stop it? And reading over the mechanism. So that will also there is issues of environmental degradation, because our environment is getting polluted. There are SDG goals are there, Millennium Development Goals are there, UN Environmental Program is working. There are national green tribunals are there. So Environmental Protection Act is also there. So uh, what is called environmental impact assessment. So these are many things are there. So we have to understand the dynamics of not only protection mechanism or environmental safety mechanism, also the degradation happening at how many level, like there will be disaster and other issues. Also gender discrimination also, because it also hinders the growth. So we understand that also there are youth tension, many youth movements are there. It also has like impact on the economy or unrest. So these all one has to understand, and there are topics in human rights, because there are rising crime against women. So women has many rights given under statute protection by the constitution, as well as there are parliament statute. So one has to understand what are the women rights issue, like what is the legal rights been given by statute and the constitution. What is the concept of women empowerment? How like self-help groups are working in that empowerment? How microfinance, then how this movement of the NGOs and other like statutory body like state commission for women and other commissions are working. So these all understanding also violation of violence against women. So there will be certain act, the DV Act is there, the Domestic Violence Act, Protection of Women from Domestic Violence Act of 2005. So these all issues, what the right they create, these kind of legislation, we will be understanding in that. Also, there are issues of adoption because child related. So adoption, child labor, because it's also form of exploitation, child abuse, so, child sexual abuse and other abuse, is like Protection of Child from Sexual Offences Act is there on 2012. So understanding act also one of the, because NIMHANS has Department of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry. Okay, so that specialized specialty is there where even for 3 months the trainees, psychiatric social work M.Phil trainees are placed. So that is also one of the new coming field. So there are like concept like issues with the street children institutionalization. So one if one follows juvenile justice care and protection of children act of 2015 or earlier version of 2000 also, so they have in detail said. So these all institutionalized. So what is the juvenile justice board? What is child welfare committee? And restoration of, so many issues will be tackled in that in the paper first of the part second final year of MPhil. So there is youth unrest. I said religious and spiritual well-being because World Health Organization is coming also, and in the definition of mental health, the spiritual also is now added. So many well-beings will be discussed. There are sometimes legal issues like air, water. So I said environmental it covers like. Then there are issues of decentralization, panchayati raj institution and other. What is decentralization? So because now Right of Person with Disability Act also wants to do decentralization of certification process. Like certificate has to be given by the district hospital. So they want to work in district mental health program. So these all, so decentralization we have to understand how it helps to the marginalized section or the section who are very far off, who cannot come for seeking regular treatment. So these all, so these all concept, because Panchayat Raj institution has created many municipalities. So and that also local governance institution will say, and what is the delegation of power. So so because many administrative law topics are there, but some are concerned with the social work. So we'll understand in paper one that. Paper second was with regard to psychiatric social work interventions. So like this was working with individual, working with families and communities. So three major portion were given. Like we understand that individual mean social casework is there. We have to work with group. There is a social group work. So we have to work with the community, mean community organization. So these three are the social work primarily method. So so in out of that only this paper divides them in three. So first we'll be saying that psychological development of the individual, how happens, what is the healthy personality contributing factor, then component of casework like management and other learned authors has given in detail. Then what is the group, what is the composition of the group, what is the group call, what is the dynamic of the group, therapeutic like importance of the group formation and other issues will be covered in the working with individual. Then working with the families. So we'll be seeing what is the origin and development process of family dynamics, socialization, how it happens in the family. So that family dynamics will understand. There are principle of working with families, and the therapeutic intervention has to be carried out with the family. So, what are the various ways the therapeutic intervention can be done? So, then we'll understand family life education. So, intervention strategy. Okay, then family intervention technique also will understand what is the family therapy. Okay, what is the family intervention. So, how it carried out in detail. So, working with community will be understanding what is community, the concept, dynamics, type of community, function of the community, and professional, para-professional volunteers. So there are many paralegal volunteer, other people's, and auxiliary nurses, so other people A&M. So how they have to be trained in the community, because ASA workers, these are like frontline workers, so they can help in implementing any district mental health program or the national mental health program for that, because they have a reach to the people. So how they can be like trained capacity has to be built. So these all issues. There are certain intersectoral approach, community participation. Okay, and the role of voluntary organization, because many of the non-governmental organization, voluntary organization, faith-based institutions, religious institutions, they are carry on those intervention in the community. So how to, what is their role? So understanding some of the prominent NGOs and their roles in this, and also community action group. Okay, so some of the intervention settings we have to understand, like de-addiction field, how to go about IP care, OP care. So what is the limitation? What is the services can be provided in child and adolescent psychiatry, family psychiatry unit, and rehabilitation, as I said, psychiatric rehabilitation, neurological rehabilitation. Okay, neurology, neurosurgery. These all field because emergency psychiatry services are also there, run by assist, let's say, or so neurological also. So we have to understand about these all services, and there are community mental health center like NIMHANS has Sakalvara Center. So these all are community health center, how it is established, what are the principle, and how they are like placing the person with mental illness, or on the carer's request or in the control environment, so that they will be placed under, so they will be making job ready, so that's self-sufficient. So for all this we'll learn how actually what is the intervention approach as a psychiatric social work we'll learn. And there are, because family counseling services are coming, so many family codes act of 1984 is there. So there are Hindu marriage acts are there, some personal laws governing marriage are there. So there is juvenile justice act is there, I said. Like there are POXO act is there. So many acts are there. So there are bodies also, are child welfare committee, juvenile justice board. So there is national commission also. So many learned courts also. So they direct many times compulsory counseling to the couples, okay, for their marital issues. So we'll understand in that paper second in the final year of M.Phil about the family code, what is there. Okay, student counseling center, because a student also has many suicide like cases which has to be prevented, their mental health has to be taken care of. So how to intervene, because the NIMHANS Center for Well-being is giving that services. So how exactly they are doing, so how they are managing like positive mental health, they will say they will proactively go to school mental health intervention. So we'll, because we have an intervention also. So that way, going to the schools, like awareing them student about that mental health, and also capacity building of the teacher to identify such cases. Parents also has to be educated of early signs and other things, and also uh, build a positive in acceptability student fails or something. So these all a part of learning we have. So how to intervene in the special schools. So there are Divyangjan, so children with special needs. So it's covered under RPWD Act also. So in special school, what is the role of the special educator? What is the role of the social worker there, or district social welfare officer has role to play? How can they can assist? So these all the intervention on part of psychiatric social worker. And child development institution are there, because there is integrated child protection schemes. So there is child welfare mechanism. So how they intervene and how we can do. So there are elderly homes are there, resource centers are created with the help of Karnataka State Legal Services Authorities and Department of Psychiatry and other bodies. So how to help these aged, for geriatric clinics, all facilities are there. There is a Senior Citizens and Parents Maintenance Act of 2007 enacted by the government of India, which empowers the district magistrate so to pass the protection order or other thing on the request of the parents or guardians. So these all understanding these all how we can do. There are like as I said, correctional institution also psychiatric social work has role in the those correctional settings, or they called for jail or prison also because there are many familial, societal, and other issues, counseling issues are there with the inmates. So correctional institution also plays that role. So we'll understand that. Also, there are respite care home, non-governmental organization. What is their approach? How they intervene in that. So now I come to last paper, which was followed then. So to say course-wise. So this was paper third was with regard to psychiatric, including common neurological disorders. So there is some general theoretical background. We have to understand, advance in the knowledge recent about causation of the mental health. What are the issues, treatment and rehabilitation of person with mental illness. So there is a concept of mental health. One has to understand diagnostic method and classification. So classification, I said, because international classification of disorders given by the World Health Organization will follow. So understanding those classification, what is there, like the way they present, what is the logic. So a diagnostic model to functioning model. So we have to understand that classification of symptomology of the various disorders, severe mental disorder, like common mental disorders. There are other disorders. So understanding that as per the ICD classification, and there are, as I said, severe mental illness one goes, then there are detail about the paranoid schizophrenia. Okay, so affective disorder, drug dependence. So these all one learns what are the cause of such occurrences. Okay, and child and adults in psychiatry also we have to understand some of the part like ADHD, let's say ASD. So these all concept one has to understand. Okay, then then geriatric psychiatry one I said because there are many dementia, so many disorders which are related with the age now studies are coming. So these Alzheimer, so understanding about how to care and other in that format, and also community psychiatry mean there are national mental health program is there, epidemiology studies are coming, district mental health programs are coming, other programs given by government of India are there as hosted in the EPG Pathshala. If one goes to not only social work, there is epidemiology, other sectors. So one, if one opens EPG Pathshala, one can get easily the video on that national mental health programs about details. So these all are a part of paper third, which is also taught to us. Geriatric psychiatry, I said, because current practice and treatment, psychotherapies, psychiatric rehabilitation concept, and there are mental health policies and legislation. I said because now recently many things has RBWD Act has come, Mental Health Act has come, other acts are coming. Earlier also there was the legislation. There are National Trust Act is there. So understanding these all policy framework. Okay, mainly then what are the common neurological and neurosurgical disorders, so understanding about them, also nervous system. Okay, because more of the cognition we have to understand, so very important to understand the nervous system of the human. So then okay, then specifically we'll go about traumatic brain injury and other disorder of the brain, head injury. So, what are the legal issues, and what are the impact of those? So, we'll be understanding these all in paper third. So, by that, like formally, I have completed my own, which I have undergone 2016 to 18. The whatever I have received as part of the M.Phil in Psychiatric Social Work, and part of M.Phil in Psychiatric Social Work is also dissertation. So MPhil trainee has to submit the dissertations under the supervision of faculty. So I have undergone that. So family and couple therapy. So that field I have chosen. So in that one has to, like, data collection has to be there, because that informed consent has to be there. So format of the, like, any doctoral thesis. So if one visits the library, can easily understand how the MPhil thesis. So it is accessible to public. So I request many of the, like, student of the social work to visit those libraries and read the book, like thesis prepared, which has many insights into it. So this is my perspective of MPhil in psychiatric social work. So if one is genuinely interested to understand more, one can come through the proper procedure, qualify the entrance exam, prepare for that, and you can make plan to become psychiatric social worker. So if anything is there which I missed, or is mistake on explaining, because it's personal experience, it can be biased. So my heartfelt apology in that regard is like my personal experiences. If official version is not meeting that, one has to follow the official version, latest syllabus, and also one can see to it that whatever is given or explained here is authentic. So wisely one has to use the information. So with that, I wish all the best for your future individual who are of coming into the MPhil in psychiatric social work, into this prestigious institute or the institute, other institute also there. So it is the journey, is personal experience. With that, I conclude. I hope to receive one of this, many of the comments, uh, queries, if you have, on those lines, that what was, how one can prepare another thing. So it is for